Morning students. We will have a small revision of what we have studied today. Classification of elements. So before starting classification of elements, we should know how many elements we have. We have almost 118 known elements in our periodic table as of today. Okay. These 118 elements are divided into four types. They are metals, non-metals, metalloids and noble gases. Talking about metals first, the elements which conduct or allow heat and electricity pass through them are called as metals. Example, iron, copper, magnesium, sodium, etc. Next, non-metals. What are non-metals? The elements which will not allow heat and electricity pass through them. Example, chlorine, hydrogen, nitrogen or carbon, generally all gases. Then we have one more classification called metalloids. These are the elements which show both the properties of metals as well as non-metals. Means they show both conducting property and non-conducting property. Means in certain temperature or in certain cases they will allow heat and electricity pass through them, and in certain conditions they will not allow heat and electricity pass through them. So such type of elements are called as metalloids. Okay, metalloids are the special type of elements. Examples are silicon and germanium. In the last type of classification of element, we have noble gases. The elements which have stable electronic configuration and generally are chemically inert. They do not react with any other element. Such type of elements are called as noble gases. They do have this nature because they have octet electronic configuration, means having 8 electrons in their last shell. That's why I wrote here stable electronic configuration. Okay, stable electronic configuration, which is octet electronic configuration. Examples are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon and radon. These are the examples for noble gases. Along with that, so these are the major classification of elements, 4 major classifications of elements. One more thing I want to add up here is there are some exception cases in metals, exception cases in non-metals, metalloids and noble gases, and there are different characteristics which we should discuss about metals, non-metals, metalloids and noble gases. But for now, these are the definitions and the examples for the different types of elements. Now coming to compounds. So what are compounds? Compounds are pure substances which are made up of 2 or more elements or molecules combined chemically in definite proportion of mass, in a fixed proportion or in a fixed ratio. If elements or molecules or 2 or more elements or molecules, if they are combining, then they are called to be compounds. Examples, sodium chloride, 2 or 3 molecules of sodium chloride, 2 or 3 molecules of sulfuric acid, etc. etc. When I say molecules happens to be the smallest unit of a compound. Means what? Few molecules will combine together to form compound. As you can see the representation here, like I'm telling, I've just written there 2 or 3 molecules of sodium chloride. I've just drawn roughly for your understanding purpose. And one more thing, if I have to say, these molecules are identical in all respectives. They have same size, shape. Each molecule of a compound are identical with each other molecule of that same compound. Okay, in all respectives, in terms of physical properties, in terms of chemical properties, and in terms of size, everything. Okay, you can see here I've written 23 is to 35.5, which gives you 58.5. Means what? Always remember, whenever any 2 molecules or 2 elements are combining to form a compound, they are combining in a fixed ratio. Means any part of the world or any time, if you have to form a sodium chloride, then 23 parts of sodium will combine with the 35.5 parts of chlorine. Means this is the fixed ratio of a combination of sodium and chlorine. Like that any other molecule, if you consider also, same thing will happen. They will combine in a fixed ratio to give compound. Okay, the thing is, next let us discuss few of the characteristics of a compound. First two characteristics are same, like this definition is only the first characteristics, that it is made up of two or more molecules combined chemically in a fixed ratio of mass and all. And one more thing, the molecules which are combining or the compounds which are formed, they are, if the same compound is formed, they are identical in all respectives, they are homogeneous, or the molecules which are combining to form compounds are homogeneous and they have same physical and chemical properties. So I have not written them here, you should add them. One is the definition you should add in the characteristic, and one more thing is that all the molecules which are forming compounds, or all the compounds, all same compounds are identical in all respectives and are homogeneous. Coming back to the other characteristics of compounds, compounds have fixed melting point and boiling point. See, every compound will have fixed melting point and a boiling point. Example I can give, water boils at, the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. It is fixed in India, Australia or any other part of the earth, okay, or anywhere else, but the thing is they have fixed melting point at boiling point. Similarly, the constituents of the compounds can be separated by chemical methods only. Means, see for example, mercury oxide is a compound. Let us consider mercury oxide is a compound. You have to separate mercury and oxygen. What you should do? You should heat it. You should heat it. Heating is a chemical method. By physical method you cannot separate mercury and oxygen. If you have to separate the constituents which are making this compound, means this mercury oxide is made by mercury and oxygen combining in a fixed ratio of mass. If you have to separate them, then what you will do is you have to heat it. A chemical method should be employed to separate them. Similar example I can give, I forgot to write on the board then, H2 plus O2, okay, H2O, 2H2O, if it has to be broken down, so how do you break it? You will break it through a chemical method called electrolysis. I think you cannot see the letter properly, but still you have heard it, right? Water can be separated with a method called electrolysis. And one more thing, whenever there is a formation of a chemical compound, this happens to be the one more characteristic of a compound. During the formation of any compound, definitely there is a energy exchange. Why there is energy exchange? There is a chemical change which is happening. There is a chemical change, or there is a chemical reaction that happens. The major difference between a physical change and chemical change is energy exchange. Okay, here energy exchange is compulsory, and you can see, for example, carbon plus oxygen is giving you carbon dioxide. So and heat is liberated. Okay, when it is happening, see, when carbon is combining with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide. Along with that, energy is liberated in the form of heat. So see, energy liberation can be in the form of heat, light or any other thing, but here in this example, heat is being liberated. And last but not least, all compounds have fixed chemical formula. If I have to say 2 moles of water, I should write 2H2O. If I am writing 2 moles of water, if I am writing sulfuric acid, it has a fixed mass, fixed formula called H2SO4. If I just write H2SO5, it is different compound. It is altogether a different compound, sulfurous acid. So it is altogether a different compound. So even in this case, H2O, if I add just one more oxygen here, it is what? Hydrogen peroxide. The total compound name changed, combination changed, everything is changed. So here every particular compound has its name, and it is having fixed chemical formula. I hope you understood classification of elements and compound and characteristics of compound which was taught as of today. Okay, thank you guys.